finally here. A top 10 matchup. Prime time on ABC. College game day will be on the 40 acres. One of the most anticipated games of the season. It's Texas versus LSU.
You came to Texas to win games like this.
Yep, it's time for the big one. The one that everybody circled at the beginning of the year, Texas versus LSU, a game that can certainly help springboard either team forward with a win. Obviously, we want that to be those Texas Longhorns. I'm Aaron Pryor. This is Big 12 Big Football, presented by Dr. Pepper. Austin, Texas, certainly the place to be come Saturday night. ESPN College Game Day will be live from UT for the first time in a decade. The Minister of Culture himself, Matthew McConaughey, the guest picker on game day Saturday morning. It's the first time these two teams have played each other since 2003. Texas is 7-1-1 all-time against LSU in Austin and 2-0 against SEC opponents under Tom Herman. The Longhorns handled Louisiana Tech last weekend 45-14 behind 454 yards of total offense. Sam Ehlinger passed for 276 yards and 4 touchdowns in just 3 quarters of play. But headed into this weekend, the thing that continues to be brought up, the fact that Texas only has one healthy running back entering this week. The Horns have had to move over freshman quarterback Roschon Johnson and freshman linebacker David Benda over to running back to back up sophomore true running back Keaontay Ingram. Keaontay rushed for over 700 yards in his freshman campaign, averaging 5 yards a carry and tacking on 3 touchdowns along the way last season. Even headed into this season, before the slew of injuries to the Texas backfield, the Texas coaching staff raved about the improvements Ingram made in the offseason. And it's that work that the Carthage, Texas native put in that could allow him to be an X factor for the Horns on Saturday.
He did play well for us as a true freshman, rushed for over 700 yards, and that's in limited action because he missed a few games with an injury. But he's put on 15, 20 pounds of really good weight. Like we've talked about before, that position at running back, that's a very physical position. So he wants to make sure that he can stay durable. And then being in the offense for the second straight year, I think he's much more patient. He understands where holes are going to be versus different fronts and blitzes, and is much more patient in finding those.
The other guy not named Sam Ehlinger that you've got to figure out if you're LSU is Colin Johnson, and good luck. Tigers head coach Ed Orgeron said the problem with Johnson is he's difficult to play in man coverage, he's great off the ball, and if you double team him, Texas has other guys that are going to beat you as well. The 6'6 senior is going to be crucial to UT's success on Saturday, whether he's making catches or just out there mixing up the defense. And look, I get it. LSU has a great defense and a totally capable quarterback. Texas has a great defense and a great quarterback. I think this game will be low scoring and will ultimately come down to whether Sam Ehlinger can make the critical plays in the biggest moments of the game. Kick is 6:30 p.m. on ABC. Texas Tech started off the Matt Wells era with a 45-10 drubbing of Montana State. The Red Raiders host UTEP out of Conference USA on Saturday night under the lights from Jones AT&T Stadium. After suffering a collapsed lung a year ago, quarterback Alan Bowman looked every bit the part of a fully healthy starting quarterback on Saturday. The sophomore was 40 of 53 for 436 yards and 2 passing plus 1 rushing touchdown in the win. The 436 yards leads the entire NCAA after week 1. It was the perfect start for Coach Wells as the new head Red Raider. There's a lot of promise and excitement in Lubbock right now. Winning especially helps. I asked Coach Wells, as well as all the first-year head coaches in the league back in July, how would you define success in your first year? I wasn't looking for wins or losses necessarily, but I will say this. Coach Wells knows what he's doing.
I know this. I know we're going to win. I know we're going to win at Tech. I know what we do works, and I know it's going to win. How much and how early and how often, I can't answer that question today for you, because so much of that is tied to do we stay healthy? Which injuries do we have and at what spots, and can we survive that? The leadership, the chemistry, how quickly does it come? I don't know. I'm not in the prediction business. I don't know that. I just know that we will win. And the sooner our players become accountable to each other and it becomes more of a player-led team instead of a coach-led team, we'll win a whole lot more often.
Armand Shine lived up to the last name as the transfer senior running back shined in his Texas Tech debut, rushing for 125 yards, including this 69-yard score. 6 other players carry the ball for the Red Raiders as well, 262 total yards on the ground to go with those 436 yards through the air. Tech is another one of those teams that could surprise this year, especially if the Raiders continue to move the ball and play defense like they did in Game 1. Kansas State and new head coach Chris Kleiman started things off right as well with a 49-14 win over Nichols last Saturday night. Coach Kleiman obviously takes over a program that was led by a college football coaching legend in Bill Snyder. No better way to start things off on the right foot than with a win. K-State will host Bowling Green this weekend, both teams coming in after picking up wins last week. And it's safe to say quarterback Skylar Thompson enjoyed running the offense in Coach Kleiman's system. The junior went 16 for 22 for 212 yards and a touchdown both through the air and on the ground in roughly 3/4 of action. The 212 passing yards was the highest output for Thompson since September 15, 2018. It was also his second highest completion percentage of his career. Thompson's time at K-State to this point was largely split at the quarterback position, both in 2017 and 2018. But the Independence, Missouri native is the true QB1 now, something that takes off a ton of pressure.
A lot of unneeded weight kind of lifted off my shoulders, and a level of confidence that can't really be put into words. And just knowing that my coaching staff and my head coach and my teammates trust and believe in me, and it just has me so excited for what's to come this season, because I've already felt a difference in my play of just playing loose, playing free, not thinking and playing uptight, and being afraid to make a mistake. And that's I think it's taken my game to another level, and I'm really excited to put a product on the field this fall.
It's an 11 a.m. kick this Saturday on FSN for Thompson and the K-State Wildcats. A look now at the rest of the schedule. Neil Brown and West Virginia are 1-0 and head to Columbia, Missouri to take on the 0-1 Mizzou Tigers after they lost at Wyoming last week. Baylor, after their 1-0 start, will host UTSA, also on FSN. Kansas will look to move to 2-0 as they host Coastal Carolina, 6 p.m. Central Time. That game can be seen on Big 12 Now on ESPN+. If you still need to subscribe, head over to Big12Sports.com and click that banner at the top of the website. You'll get access to all Big 12 Now content and all ESPN Plus content, including Oklahoma State against McNeese. We'll touch on that game here in just a second. Obviously, Texas and LSU at 6:30 p.m. on ABC, and Texas Tech hosting UTEP. Big day of Big 12 football on FSN all throughout your Saturday. Now, Oklahoma State started things off with a bang last Friday night, going up to Corvallis with freshman quarterback Spencer Sanders and showing why the Cowboys are not to be taken lightly this season. Sanders completed nearly 80% of his passes for just over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions in the win, and tacked on 109 rushing yards for the Pokes. If that wasn't impressive enough for you, running back Chuba Hubbard went for 221 yards on the ground. That currently leads the entire FBS.
Chuba's very, very serious about football. And one thing I mentioned to you guys about a month ago was I see some guys go through this transition, and it's usually really good players, James Washington, Mason, Brailford, Ogba, those guys. Chuba's really serious about football now. He's not in any shape or form when he's in jacking around. When he's at practice, he's serious. So he's off to a good start.
Coach Gundy also praised his freshman quarterback after the game, saying he was composed and ready to roll. Top plays now, number 3 from last week. As we mentioned him earlier, Armand Shine for 69, right up the gut for the second quarter score, his first as a Texas Tech Red Raider. Number 2, R.J. Sneed, over the shoulder grab, the right leg catches that pylon for a sensational touchdown grab. Baylor wins big. And number 1, playmakers making plays. Colin Johnson, goodness gracious. The concentration to get that 1 foot down and catch this ball before falling out of bounds. Colin Johnson, our defending top plays champion. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. The Big 12 10-0 last weekend, headed into this week. And I'll leave you on this one final note. No Big 12 quarterback has thrown an interception to this point in the season. For the Big 12 Conference, I'm Aaron Pryor.